So excited for today's chat with members of the Blanchard and Calhoun team, the company celebrating 100 years in the CSRA. Team Marshall represented by Rosemarie Marshall and Chad Trollinger. Hi guys, how are you today?
Hey, good morning, Neil.
Good, Neil. Thanks.
Great to see the both of you. Ladies first, Rosemarie, 15 years ago, you started with Blanchard and Calhoun. Where were you when you thought that you had the itch to become an agent?
Well, it's interesting. You know, we came here 16 years ago from California. Our boys, being Army, brought us, they went to Fort Gordon, right? So then we got here, and the first person that introduced me to real estate, who got us into our first home, was Sheila, and she said, "You ought to be a realtor." And I had been in human resource management and recruiting. I'd always helped people, get jobs. And I thought, whoa, I love real estate. I love investing in it. So maybe I should try it.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, and so I did, and here we are.
Oh, great. And the gentleman to your right, Chad, you've got 20 years of experience in marketing for companies like Bridgestone Golf, Augusta Sportswear, and then you've been a franchisee with Welcome Mat. Why did you want to make the transition in the last year or so to join Team Marshall?
Yeah, that's a great question. And basically, I should have listened to my wife a long time ago because we're fast in vision. I was telling my wife about things in the future. This is about 4 years ago, and she had mentioned real estate. And I said, no way, I don't ever want to do real estate. Are you kidding me? Well, one thing led to another, and I got closer to the time frame of some more decision-making things for my life. And I met with Rosemarie, and I met with a lot of other business owners in the community, kind of told them my plans for a business and real estate, being a realtor, and they all confirmed that, hey, this is something you should try out. You should do this. So I got my license at the end of last year, and then Rosemarie and I were talking more in depth about what it could mean if we became a team with Blanchard. And so she was really excited about it. And so I got caught up into the excitement about that and what it could mean for us together and me and my future and stuff like that. And so I had to do a huge shift in the past 4 years to come around being a real estate agent and what it meant. And then confirmation with Rosemarie about a team concept. And then just having someone like Rosemarie mentor me and kind of help me through it and get me started was a no-brainer. So as I talked to other business owners and entrepreneurs and even people in the real estate market here, they all confirmed this is something I should do. So,
and Rosemarie, from a service standpoint, a client standpoint, what are the extra benefits that someone who comes to Team Marshall gets versus maybe going with a solo agent?
Well, here's the thing. What I've realized, bringing Chad aboard, which is amazing, right? You bring the double experience, the double knowledge. We know what we're doing. You get 2 for 1, right? It's not just one realtor, it's both of us. So you're never left alone. You always have one or the other. If I'm busy doing something, you've got Chad on the other end, or vice versa. We love serving, and that's what it's all about.
And we're going to share some of those testimonials and even bring on one of your clients a little later in our program. But Chad, I was just in awe when you walked me through the different tasks you have to perform to get a deal done for one of your clients. Do you know roughly how many things you have to check off for there to be a closing?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's kind of overwhelming in a sense if you just look at it on paper. But I think there's around 250 decisions that we get to help serve in that process. So if you think about that just being one client, it's pretty, it's a lot. But then if you get like multiple clients at one time in the pipeline, you got like 6 or 7 clients you're working with, those decisions never go away. They're just like there for days and months and hours on end. But they're part of the process, and we get it and we understand it. That's the best way we can serve our clients, is to help those. Try to remove all those barriers from them through the process is what we try to do.
And Rosemarie, maybe that's the reason why for sale by owner generally doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. And do you know, really, I was just reading some statistics, right? That 90% of people who do for sale by owner eventually go to a realtor. Now, what does that tell you?
That's a really great point. We're going to share some success stories. Let's rewind back to when Chad first joined Team Marshall, and you worked on selling a home in the Wexford subdivision
Yes.
off of Furys Ferry Road. What do you recall about that?
Oh, there's so many things to recall, okay? We met with a lady who was a senior citizen already. She was planning to move from her home into like a semi-retirement community, right? And so when I said, Chad, come on, I need to bring you along. Let's do this together, right? It was a great experience for him, right? I don't know if he knew what he was getting into, but we started off together. We did our presentation. We took a look at the home and all the things that perhaps might be needed, because that's what we do. When we come into a home, we assess the home and the lady that we're dealing with. Conversations maybe last an hour or two at the most, right? We're in the COVID season. So we had to work a little bit differently than we normally do. Mm-hmm. All right. You had to do, say, a virtual open house instead of an actual open house in the beginning to get feedback to our client, about her home. And through that process, by the way, we met a buyer who was interested in the home. And what ended up happening in this situation, which does not happen all the time, is that we became dual agents. All right. So we represented the seller and the buyer. All right. And again, normally a home will sell in this market within a week or two. This one took a couple of months to 3 months because of COVID, number one. And because number two, eventually the lady had to make some changes to her home, whether it be painting or whether it be doing some electrical or, light fixtures to make the home sell. We were able to be convincing enough in another meeting to say, what would you like to do, ma'am? We either reduce the home or can you make some changes for us? And what do you think she did? She
made some changes.
Yes, she did.
That's wonderful. And Chad, the next transaction you were part of was even more competitive for your services. This was in Northwood. This sold for about $315,000. Now, tell me, besides Team Marshall, how many other real estate agents were involved in bidding for this client's services?
Yeah, well, we had heard that there was going to be several, because that's usually the typical process. But after we had, I think, gotten confirmation, it was she told us like around 13 agents is who she talked to.
Yes.
Why did they pick the two of you?
I think when we first meet with folks, we have some energy. We present really well, and we try to focus on servants' hearts and servant attitudes. And we're here to teach and coach and help and guide. And then we followed up with her. So once we walked away after we presented to her, which took a little while to present, we both sent cards in the mail, some texting, some emails, phone calls a few weeks after that. One, not just to say, hey, do we have the deal, but hey, how's the process coming? Because she was doing some renovating to her house already. So we were just like touching base. Is anybody we can help you out with? Anybody contractors we can send your way? And so we really feel that the sale was in the follow-up.
And Neil, do you know that home was under contract in 3 days?
Wow.
We listed over July 4th weekend. She didn't think she was going to have any showings, and we had 3 offers.
Full price?
Close to full price, okay? I mean, all cash offer,
That's, you can't do better. That's wonderful.
She was so grateful in the end. She really said, I'm so glad we selected you and Chad.
And the last success story we're going to share before we take our first break is in the Riverwood subdivision, and we'll actually meet this client a little later in the program. This one on DeWall Street sold for $345,000. And Rosemarie, you had an existing relationship with the client, and Chad, you knew the client through business for the last few years. So this one really worked out well.
Oh my gosh. Lovely folks. They're our friends. In real estate, you make relationships. They become your friends. And these have become our friends. They were so easy to work with. I mean, oh my gosh. Number one, Riverwood Plantation is a beautiful neighborhood to live in, very popular. Number two, their home was beautiful. Marcia, Robbie's wife, wonderful. Her home is already really pretty meticulous inside. There wasn't much I could add, right, to the ambiance of their beautiful home, other than market it, put my sign out, put our signs out and service them, right?
Mhm.
And within a couple of weeks, the home sold again quite quickly. But they were wonderful to work with. That communication is so important between, your sellers and the agent. And we always communicated well. So I couldn't
Sure.
ask for a better opportunity to serve them.
Well, those are just three of many transactional sales that have taken place since Team Marshall formed almost a year ago. And we should say all those three were in Columbia County, where things are very hot right now, but they can service both sides of the Savannah River in Georgia and South Carolina. Let's share a little bit more information about Blanchard and Calhoun and some of those services and ways you can reach Rosemarie and Chad as they're anxious to serve you on behalf of Team Marshall. We will be right back.